And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another weekend edition of the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, week number 62, your weekly dose or bi-weekly dose of Korean StarCraft. I'm of course your VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to something a little bit different, a little bit different to what we're used to a replay cast. Of course, this event did take place 2 days ago. 2 days ago. How dare I cast games 2 days old? I do apologize at the time. Fun fact, I was actually ready. I was ready to cast. I had everything set up. It was like 2 hours. It was like 2 hours until the tournament went live, and I made the mistake of lying down. I was like, you know, maybe I can like nap for like 45 minutes or an hour. I set like 10 alarms. I slept through everything. By the time I woke up, it was already like 2 hours into the broadcast, 2 hours into the tournament, and by then, it's too late to join. So, yeah, as a result, we're going to be catching up via replays instead, merely 2 days later. I was very tempted to cast yesterday, very tempted to catch up yesterday instead, but we already had 2 tournaments yesterday, so wanted to try to keep things spread out a little bit more even here. 2 broadcasts today. Of course, last night, 12 hours ago, we were live with the Sparkling Tuna Cup, and tonight, in another 12 hours, we're going to be live with the Wardy TV Monday. So, oh boy, 12-hour breaks here, or I guess a cast every 12 hours, essentially, on the CranKy Ducklings. We got you covered. 2 casts a day. Let's go. So, we kick things off this morning with some Korean StarCraft League. Let us go. Oh boy, we're going to be jumping into the round 16, and we have a PvP between NightMare and Zoun. I'm also tempted to maybe make this a regular thing, as what I'm referring to is just casting KSL via replays instead. Just because usually shout out to Chicken Man and Dave Testa for hosting the event and for organizing it, and they're usually really fast when it comes to producing replays as well from the event. So, and on top of that, we'll be able to cast more games, more matches, more StarCraft. So we'll see what happens. Regardless, let's jump on in. Here in the round 16, we have our PvP between NightMare and Zoun. Of course, Zoun, our most recent Sparkling Tuna Cup champion, last night he did pop off in the Sparkling Tuna in our PTR tournament. I should also emphasize as well that this KSL is not on the PTR. It is on the current patch. It is going to be a regular setup instead. I did ask about it, and unfortunately, I did raise the question a little bit too late. I think I asked like the day before, and unfortunately, it wasn't enough time to set it up ahead of time and set up the challenge with the PTR. So, as a result, this the KSL of the week of 62 is going to be on the current patch, but potentially the next event is going to be on the PTR. Oh boy. For now, though, we are jumping in and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ghost River. We have our South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from South Korea, the ex-military Protoss. It is Zoun. The tuna himself, the tuna. Beautiful. Let's go. As we are going to be opening on up. And of course, Zoun, he has been praised for his PvP as of late, over the past month since his return. Also, I have to get rid of the tuna, Smoke. It is not last night. We'll get rid of the tuna after this game. But Zoun has been praised for his PvP, so is NightMare, though. That's the thing. Like, you could definitely make an argument that NightMare has the best PvP in South Korea. Zoun, when it comes to his return and his favorite matchup, I would say that it is a PvP as well. It is his go-to. He has been defeating players like Hero, players like Classic, players like Trap as of late as well. When it comes to the top Protoss players in Korea, I believe they have all fallen at the hands of Zoun at least once. I still don't know how consistent Zoun is necessarily in his PvP, but I will say that it is his best matchup. Likewise, NightMare, not too shabby either. NightMare also known for his PvP prowess. I'm curious how they face off against each other here in Game 1 on Ghost River. Of course, a very small map. Shortest rushes in the map. Oh, one of the shortest rushes in the maps in the map pool. Second only to Post Youth. For now, 2-gate opener all around. No one is crazy enough to go for a gate expand. No wild max packs openers or anything like that. We're just going to be settling in. Settling into a standard setup. Pylons are being placed in the main. No proxy, no shenanigans, and both players are fully aware. Both players are aware. For now, it's going to be a Stalker Sentry opener out of NightMare, sorry, out of Zoun. Likewise, NightMare going for double Stalker as well. There we go. Everything looking as it should. Just a bit of a more greedy opener here from Zoun. It does mean that NightMare can be more assertive and more aggressive. We have seen him embrace double Stalker openers very often in PvP. Does very often do it, especially against some of the European Protoss players, referring to Christiana and Geralt, especially in Sparkling Tuna Cup. Fun fact, NightMare was attempting to compete last night in Sparkling Tuna Cup, but was unable to, as he had a hard time at downloading the PTR and getting it sorted. So there was some technical issues because of that. We never saw NightMare, and potentially if he was able to compete last night, we actually could have seen a Zoun versus NightMare. That definitely could have been a potential finals, but last never really came into being. So now we see them face off here tonight, or this morning, I should say. Also, a shout out to C Grail in chat. Papi God, thank you so much for you subscribing for 21 months. Oh, that's a lot of months, Papi. That's a lot of months. Thank you, Papi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the StarCraft. Hope you enjoy the casting. Thanks for all the you're welcome, Papi. You're welcome. We do what we can. As the first full Stalkers are moving out, remember there was a Stalker heavy start for NightMare. His goal here is to break the natural. We have 3 sentries to defend, a shield battery as well. No overcharge yet, but in a couple of seconds it will be ready. Until then, shield battery takes a lot of hits. Likewise, Zoun holding his own. Bearing in mind with the new sentry or the new old sentry, they are more robust here against these protospace units, against these shield-based units. Shield battery goes down, but now we have an extra warp in, and Zoun will defend. And he doesn't lose too much. He loses 1 shield battery. Not much at all. Does preserve all of his sentries. Speaking of, NightMare does reinforce. And wants to try to break the defenses here at the natural. Oh, nice catch by Zoun. Yeah, 1 Stalker falls. Very nice catch. Does escape with all of his units. That was a rough trade for NightMare. Again, he's going to have to back off behind this, saturating his natural. Ooh, both players working towards Blink, but Zoun going for a slightly faster Dark Shrine. And now I'm concerned. Now I am concerned here for NightMare. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen Max Pax die to this. We've seen Hero die to this. But if the Protoss player does not have detection, does not have a Robo, or a Stargate, or a Forge, the game could just end. I mean, it's been an intense start, but this might just end the game. As the Depths are going to be threatening a shade towards the natural. Zoun, he will deny the scouts. Does wall off. NightMare's in the dark. Is in the dark for the time being. NightMare, he's going for his 3rd Nexus before the Robo. Very greedy play here by NightMare. I mean, what are the chances their opponent has some DTs, has a Dark Shrine? There's a proxy across the map, so Zoun, he can warp in right towards that 3rd. There is now a Robo on the way. Now, there is still a chance for Zoun to actually snipe the Robo, or even just ignore it, just go for the mineral lines and just get critical damage. Here comes the first DT. First Dark Templar's on the way. And what do we go for? Do we go for the pylon powering the Robo, or just straight up probe kills? What's it going to be? The DT does waddle in. Robo's halfway done. I'm pretty sure if he goes for the Robo or the pylon, the game could just end. But there's only 1 Dark Templar. There we go. Second one's waddling in, and he's going for the mineral line. Probes are going down. NightMare, he races back home. The initial observer is going to now begin. The observer will pop out, but by the time it does, how many probes? How many probe kills so far? 5. Not too many, but so much less mining time. There's no mining at the natural, no mining in the main. 6 probes falling. The observer does arrive. Whew. NightMare will clean this up, but he's been stuck with a 1-base economy. He's been forced back home as well, which means Zoun now gains map control, takes his own 3rd base, and he pushes. Is pushing out. Now, thankfully, the game didn't just end. It could have, 100%. Could have just ended then and there. But NightMare does take a worker deficit. Does run back around to his 3rd base. Is ready to defend. Has a shield battery. Has an overcharge. He should be okay here at his 3rd. But again, Zoun doesn't have to end the game. He's backing off. He's taking. We have charge on the way. Forge for +1. Immortal production on the way as well. Zoun is taking up and getting ahead. And getting further ahead. Right now, the pressure is on NightMare to somehow get into a mineral line himself, whether it's with the Depths, whether it's with the Blink Stalkers. The pressure is on NightMare. Likewise, Hallucination attempts to scout the main. Won't quite be able to. Making sure there's no like counter DT play, for example. Or like a rush into disruptors. We can see that NightMare is committing to purely Blink Stalker. It's going to be pure Blink Stalkers. No Archons, no Charge Lots, no Disruptors yet. And the composition, the quality of the army for Zoun is just going to be getting better and better. Now, technically, NightMare could try to outposition if he doesn't get scouted. He could try and go for a backstab or try to flank the army. He's not moving out. The Observer gets spotted. Oof. Aye. NightMare rotating around. Coming in from the south. You know, NightMare, he's just trying to rush straight into Disruptors. It makes sense. He's skipping Charge Lots, he's skipping Archons, skipping Immortals, working towards Disruptor tech. But before he gets there, Zoun pushes in. Zealots they come in to reinforce, the army is spotted, NightMare turns back around. And Zoun can get right on top of that shield battery. Nice force field, even with the overcharge, it's not going to come into play. NightMare getting forced back. Decent kiting. Oh. And decent kiting with their reinforcements on the way. There's that overcharge, shield battery gets targeted down instantly. And Zoun is breaking through. Zealots, they were stuck in the back line for a moment there. The Archon is going to be targeted down as well. The boys are being pulled. I mean, they have to be. NightMare, he does hold. Not bad. Does hold on. They did have the greater concave. And the first Disruptor's on the way. Whew. Okay. We're still in this. First Disruptor is popping out. And NightMare can now take a fourth. Zoun's already finishing up. But at least NightMare survived. So he is still in this. And again, his whole purpose here was to try to rush into those Disruptors. And he's gotten there. He's there. Just the one for now, but can build up over time. Sound likewise being active. I will get rid of the tuna. Oh, the Prism! Prism goes down. Not bad. Nice pick off by NightMare. Does sign the Prism. Getting caught himself out. Has to calm down. His own charge finishing up. Disruptor behind this. Second Disruptor has arrived. So my apologies. I assumed that Zoun would be taking an upgrade lead, but that is not the case. +1 already done for NightMare. +2 on the way. Zoun, he has spotted the Disruptors. DT's waddling in once again. This time there are cannons in position. NightMare keeping up. Sniping some Stalkers. Not bad. Disruptors behind this. Up! First Nova won't connect. Now the second. Massive snipes here from Zoun. But does he have enough Stalkers? It's going to be close. The single Immortal is going to be targeted as well. It looks like NightMare, he will take the fight. Barely takes down the Stalkers, the Immortal, and will come out on top here. Again, still has that upgrade lead. Still has +1. Yeah, Zoun's being forced back. He does have his own reinforcements coming in, though. He's going to be able to barely hold on, but the Stalker count is still in favor of NightMare. Zoun has to back off. Behind this attempts to harass, but doesn't really have anything in the War Prism. NightMare shuts down the proxy, getting into +2. Zoun desperately going for some Zealot counterattack, and I mean, there's potential here, but the big advantage, or the tech advantage that Zoun once had, isn't really there anymore. He lost all of his Immortals, he lost all of his Archons, he never rebuilt them. Likewise, NightMare just sticking with a gateway-based army. The Zealot harass was dealt with. And NightMare now finally, for the first time in a long time, takes a supply lead. A lot of the Stalkers are tied up back at home. But regardless, he hits the 4th. Zoun out of position. Yeah, did not spot the rotation. Forced the recall. Will manage to save the base though. Does recall in time. Picks up an observer. They'll also get a handful of probes. NightMare, he did neglect his disruptor production, so that is going to be hurting him a little bit. Just now remaking his first disruptor. Meanwhile, +3 is on the way. NightMare still maintaining that upgrade lead. Setting up his own run by. Zealots are scattered. But what about the Stalkers? Remember, recall's on cooldown. And he wants that expansion. Going for the pylon. Gets a couple of probes. Recalls himself. And again, he's just keeping Zoun busy while he's rebuilding his disruptors. Now back up to 2. 2 disruptors, taking extra gases. Still very tense here between our players. But NightMare still has that Stalker lead. And the upgrades. Now you can take the better fight. Is pushing into a CranKy, but despite that, it doesn't even matter. Still has an overwhelming Stalker army. The Zealots are stuck in the back line. Now they're breaking in. Now they're breaking in. I'll be pick up the Novas. Crazy army. No major connections yet. The Prism is still stuck between the main and the 4th. Second Robo's on the way for double disruptor production. And the longer this goes on, the better NightMare's army is becoming. Up to 3, soon to be 4, 5, 6 disruptors. He's not stopping. And Zoun has no answer. He never teched into Phoenixes, for example, his own disruptors, into Skytoss. Never did tech up. And Novas, they do turn away. Nice target firing here out of Zoun. Novas don't connect. Behind this is the overcharge. NightMare still has just a massive army supply lead. And Zoun, he just cannot break this. Not anymore. He had a lot of momentum earlier in the game, and again, he almost won the game straight up with those DTs. NightMare, he survived. He persisted. He's moving out. We have been lacking those juicy connections with the Purification Novas, but I mean, they've been doing their job. They've been just soaking damage, distracting the main army. Oh no! Oh my god. Zoun does avoid the Novas, but still just a rough fight to take. As it does catch them, but GG gets called. NightMare overwhelms, and NightMare takes game number 1. Whew. GG. NightMare does take a lead in the series. Again, a very intense game 1, and Zoun had some big opportunities as well. He did have an advantage for quite some time, but did end up losing it. He wasn't quite able to break his opponent despite sniping all the disruptors, despite the initial DT harass as well. Wasn't quite able to close it out, and NightMare takes game 1. Does take game number 1, and now we're looking to jump into game 2 on Oceanborn. Let's go. Let us go. So we're jumping into game 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing his new team, Streamer Zoun. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, also from South Korea. It is Zoun. Down in this series, we'll see if he can bounce back and force that ace match. Again, it was still a very intense game 1, but I can't imagine rushing into DTs is going to work again here in this series. Usually it's just a really good thing to mix in a best of 3 and a best of 5, try to catch your opponent off guard. Now I'm sure NightMare is going to be on notice and a little bit more attentive when it comes to scouting and checking for something like a Dark Shrine. Okay, I forgot to get rid of the tuna. God damn it. After this game, I'll do my best. But last night, of course, we were casting Sparkling Tuna Cup. This morning, different tournament. I'll get around to it. As the probe does dip in for a scout. Once again, 2-gate opener. Once again, there's no proxy, there's no worker out on the map to set up any kind of shenanigans for a 1-base all-in. Not yet, at least. Oh. So we have our 2-gate setup, likewise 2-gate setup from NightMare as well. You can see NightMare scouting for that second pylon. He does spot it, placed here at the gas geyser. Likewise, NightMare doing the same back across the map. I believe Zoun, yeah, he skipped the probe scout. Bold move. Bold move here. So technically, getting into this opener, Zoun will have the slightly better economy because, I mean, he doesn't send a worker out to scout, but he's playing blind. He's playing in the dark. For all Zoun knows, there could be a proxy, there could be a pylon, there could be a 1-base all-in coming his way. Zoun doesn't know. So it is a bit of a risky maneuver here by Zoun. Likewise, NightMare confirms the location of the 3rd pylon. And back at home just expands. So it goes for a double sentry opener, it goes for a faster nexus, faster expansion. He even delayed the first 2 units as well. So there's a bit of a give and take here. NightMare cutting corners, Zoun playing blind. Stalker sentry, standard opener out of Zoun. Not too aggressive. Following it up with additional sentries, which means NightMare will have the slight economic lead here at the start of the game. Once he gets into his natural pace, I should say. So both players are building up. With the arrival of these sentries, Hallucination is going to be sent out as well to scout to confirm any further tech, whether it's a Twilight Council, a Robo, or a Stargate. Hallucination will confirm. Does head over. Likewise, Hallucination scouts the main. Both players opening up Twilight Council. Zoun with a slightly faster blink, but NightMare not too far behind. Only behind by like what, a couple of seconds. Nothing too major. Both players headed in the same direction. Zoun does set up a proxy location. Now this could just be to reinforce and to send out adepts across the map. We'll see if Zoun throws down a 3rd gateway back at home and a 4th gateway across the map. That would be the tell. Meanwhile, NightMare expands, takes a faster 3rd, now going for a more delayed Robo. Very similar to the previous game. Meanwhile, Hallucination does survive, does get into the main base, does confirm there's no 3rd. But again, there is no gateway explosion yet. Robo gets placed, proxy across the map. Zoun is committing. He has not been skipping more pins, he's moving out with a massive army. With a comparable army here to NightMare. It's going to come down to the force fields. Blink is not done. And NightMare's in position. Zoun setting up for a later 3rd. Did invest into the extra gateway though. And is setting up for its Summer Depth Harass. Remember, 2 adepts, 1-shot probes. And they're looking to get into the mineral line, into the natural. So really this main army for Zoun is just distracting. Just trying to keep NightMare's attention at the 3rd. While he sneaks into the natural base. There's the shade. That's NightMare, he's on notice. is in position. Zoun has not expanded. Oh. I just assumed that he would take a third, but no, he's throwing down 2 more gates. Oh my god. It's a 5-gate 2-base all-in. 5-gate 2-base all-in here by Zoun. He's going to have a lot of gateways here. Is pushing forward. Oh. Doesn't quite get the sentry. Not yet. But he wants it. Going for an extra wave of warp-ins. Pushing forward. Oof. Picks up a stalker. NightMare is in trouble. He's got the robot, but no immortal in production. Yeah, NightMare has the stalker deficit. He needs something like an immortal as an anchor point. Throws out the force fields, but Zoun is going to be overwhelming. There's the overcharge. Zoun respects it. Has to back off. Extra warp-ins on the way. NightMare, he's taking to charge, throwing down extra gateways. NightMare needs more time. Zoun, can he break through? And he still has a massive stalker army. And remember, overcharge on cooldown. And Zoun, he's doing it. He is breaking the third. Blinks on forward, chases down the stalkers as well. The slow warp-ins, they're too slow. Boys are being pulled, they have to be. And this is getting out of hand. It's getting out of control. I mean, Zoun eventually throws down the third base, but that was more of an afterthought. This just has a massive army. There's 4 stalkers left. There's that prism. Nice juggling here at a NightMare, but it's a numbers game at this point. Zoun just keeps reinforcing. Takes up the Zealot. Charge isn't done. And NightMare just being a little bit too greedy. Cutting a couple too many corners here. And did not respect the aggression of Zoun. And with that, Zoun, he has broken the natural. He ignores the third. He doesn't care. He wants to go for the kill instead. And he will. He gets 16 probe kills. The final stalker. GG gets called. And Zoun ties up the series 1-1. We're going to the ace match. We're going to game 3. GG. And before we dive into the ace match, I have to get rid of the tuna. Hold on. Un momento. There we go. We'll miss you. We're getting into the ace match. Ace match is going to be on Alcyon. And again, winding it back a little bit in that final game, or in that last game, we saw that Zoun, he was just hyper committed. He threw down the proxy, threw down 2 more gateways. He was on a 5-gate setup on 2 bases. He was not skipping warp-ins. And eventually he did overwhelm NightMare. NightMare also made the choice not just to take the fast third, but also to delay any, or to skip any immortal production. He went for charge instead, threw down extra gateways, instead of focusing on just building up an army then and there. He just, I guess, wasn't expecting, or I should say, he was not expecting aggression that fast, that quickly, that heavily at the third. He was hoping to get away with a little bit more there. Was unable to, and we'll see if he can bounce back, as spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alcyon, and we have the red Protoss player representing Streamer Zone being forced into the ace match. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player, also from South Korea, recently returning from the military. It is Zoun. Here we go. Another factor that comes into play, I don't know if you noticed, but it's quite common in PvP to just leave your probe at the third location to make it look like you're expanding. Hallucination Scout did spot the worker, didn't spot an expansion, but again, like, it's one of those things where it looks like there might be a base when really there was none. Also, hello NightMare. Oh, interesting. NightMare, he does move out. He does open up the right-hand side of the map here, making it look like he's going to be proxying on the other side, when really he's setting up in the center. 2-gate opener back at home. Does he throw down the pylon? Does he commit? Or is it merely a fake out? I mean, this is a prime location for a proxy robo. Not gonna lie. So I'm feeling proxy robo here by NightMare. Probe comes in, does confirm. He's like, hold up. Where's the pylon? Where is the second pylon? Zoun should be checking further back. There we go. He does check further back in the main. Confirms there is no pylon. And ideally, when Zoun checks and when Zoun finds this, he's kind of lured into the right-hand side, and he's kind of lured into a false, or kind of lured in, kind of deceived here into thinking that it's like a proxy Stargate or a proxy Twilight Council. That's the hope, at least. As he is checking. Checks the initial mineral wall. And Zoun, does he check the center wall as well? But now moving out with the second probe. And he will check. Still looking. Meanwhile, it is proxy Robo. And he actually doesn't confirm the wall. He doesn't check the wall. Uh-oh. Doesn't quite check the wall, so the plan for... he gets found. He does get found out. The Stalkers have arrived. A second pilot on the way. The Immortal's in production. NightMare needs a little bit more time. First probe does fall. And it looks like the Immortal should be able to pop out. With the help of 2 pylons, it should stay powered. The mind games didn't come into play. Feels bad, man. Not quite. As Zoun's reinforcements are arriving that much faster, he did open up Stargate, going for the Phoenix. Now that he knows that there is a proxy, that it isn't all in, for the Phoenix, they can just completely shut down the Immortal and zone away the War Prism as well. I'm concerned. I'm sure NightMare was hoping for a more economic opener. More Stalkers on the way. Immortal has arrived. Going for the War Prism. We'll see if NightMare can pull this off. If he can protect the Immortal from the Phoenixes. It does get lifted. It's going to get lifted. It gets targeted down. The Immortal falls, and everything else as well. Yeah, NightMare has to get the hell out of here. The Prism. Not like this. Going to be hunted down. Drops a couple of Stalkers, a slow orbit of sentries. And there's a couple more shots, and it will fall. Onomase does go down. And now NightMare is stuck on the other side of the wall. Not like this. He can't help. No. Breaks down the rocks. Robo gets powered just in time as well. The Immortal does not spawn in. And Zoun is shutting this down. NightMare, he's applied lock. He just lost 2 pylons. The Immortal does not come into play. And Zoun can just keep pushing. And again, NightMare, he's stuck on the wrong side of the wall. He's going to have to recall. Or just break down these rocks. If he recalls, he can't overcharge. Oh, God. Oh, God. What can he do? Meanwhile, Zoun, he could just commit to his own counter all in. But no, never mind. He's expanding. He's expanding back at home. Zoun pushing in. Getting on top of the first gateway. Doesn't quite catch it. NightMare at least preserve this army. Has to be so careful with it. Speaking of, runs into reinforcements. Oh, force field does lock down 2 Stalkers. There's the recall. Does at least save the rest. Now NightMare will expand as well. And we're attempting to head into a longer game state. Nice force field. NightMare catching another Stalker. Oh, and another! Not bad. And the Phoenix! Very nice pickups. NightMare sniping 2 Stalkers, a Phoenix, both players expanding. Zoun will have the slightly faster natural base, but NightMare will have the slightly faster Blink. Blink is on the way. Whew, okay, so we're calming things down. Very intense start to the game. Oh my god. No! The reaction! Oh my god. And I was about to say we're going to recover and head into the mid game, but a brutal stasis trap in the main. Does catch most of the workers. Will slow NightMare down. Zoun, he's chilling. Saturating is natural, still maintaining a lead. Now, I would not say that the lead is insurmountable. Like, NightMare can definitely recover. He can pop in with some adepts. Some Blink Stalker harass. Another stasis into the main. This time, NightMare does respond. But I will say that NightMare is behind, and it's on him to bounce back. Still a 7 probe deficit. Working towards Zoun Robo. At least the game will continue. I'm curious where Zoun takes us as well. I would assume that he would just take a third. Just take a third base, you know, get further ahead, tech up as well. They're going to forge on the way for upgrades. There's no need for Zoun to really take too many risks. NightMare does check the main. He confirms the forge timing. He's aware, of course, that he's going to be behind in upgrades. And speaking of the pressure being on NightMare to bounce back, Dark Shrine. It makes sense. Dark Shrine is on the way. Way behind Dark Shrine. Zoun did skip his Robo, but he's got the Oracle. Right, that's the problem here. He does have the Stargate, does have the Oracle, does have some form of detection. Despite that, there's still potential for the DTs. Main army moves out. Zoun expanding behind this. Pick up a pylon. Oh god, and he might just break the natural here and now. Nice force fields. I'm buying some time. Shield battery is almost done. Zoun does have a 5 Stalker lead. With a disadvantage, NightMare he's holding on. But again, Zoun, he doesn't have to break the natural. All he's doing is denying the third. He's just denying the third base, getting further ahead, his own third just now finishing. Taking up into charge, into +1. I mean, I'm getting similar vibes to game 1, if you recall, where Zoun was able to get ahead tech-wise. Didn't maintain that lead, but I'll say similar setup. Dark Templar waddling in. Ah, but there's a cannon in position. Ay, ay, ay. And first CT goes down. Oracle gets recalled. Second DT does waddle into the third. Not bad. Getting a couple of probes. Likewise, War Prism into the main. I love the whole position micro Dark Templar. Just chilling in between the bases. Oh no, he sees it. Gets a revelation. That second Dark Templar goes down. I guess some extra probes here at the third. Zoun not aware there was another DT, but it's cleaned up. That was what, 3 Dark Templar for a handful of workers. Not worth it there. But at least NightMare forces Zoun back home, and he's able to finally expand. But he needs more than that. Similar to that game 1 as well, I feel like this is kind of going to be his moment to try to rush into a bay, into disruptors. That would make the most sense. Working towards disruptors and just being defensive instead. Hoping to fight with the help of shield batteries and overcharge. And we'll see. Oh, going for a blink on the Dark Shrine. That I was not expecting. Okay. Okay. You have my attention. Shadow Stride on the way. Behind is taking us fourth. Hallucination does confirm. Zoun tempted to move out. Now we are just going to calm things down. We do have a bit of a lull period here, at least until we build up more Archons. Speaking of, Temple morphing in, more Archons on the way. We have a Gateway Explosion, and here comes that War Prism. Zoun is soon going to push out. And he still has a pretty comfortable lead here. NightMare, he can't necessarily engage head-on. Has to take it slow. More cannons on the way, more shield batteries. Again, NightMare, he has to fight with the Defender's Revenge with all the stack defense. That's the only way he can win a fight. With the help of all these cannons and shield batteries. He should be setting up here as well. We'll see if he can hold on. Zoun is pushing. NightMare does spot it. Does rotate. Cannon's just now finishing up. Shadow Stride is done. DT's coming in for a backstab. Going for the fourth. They can get on top of the cannon. They can, and they will. Cannon goes down. Mineral line as well. Zoun, he turns back around. Oh my god. He recalls. Oh wait, he even recalls. Okay, not bad. Does force a recall. NightMare has to calm down though. Like, NightMare, he's still down 20 army supply. He can't fight head on. So far, so good. DTs are still out there. But NightMare, he misses the army. He misses the rotation. And he's not in position. Yeah, NightMare out of position. Cannon's going to be going down. Shield batteries as well. And Zoun, he wants to fight. Dives on in, blinks forward. Archons are left in the back line. But now there's only one shield battery in position. Cannon's depowered as well. Yeah, NightMare, he can't push into this. He's gonna try to. Again, if he spotted the army, then he could have taken a better fight here, but the third base is gonna go down. From here, Zoun can back up. At the same time, DTs, they did hit the third, but we had plenty of reinforcements back at home. Zoun defends. Defends, now he can reinforce. He can break out. And the reinforcements, they're coming. Zoun maintained the upgraded lead as well, plus 3 about to finish up. Just a massive upgrade advantage. And now here come the reinforcements. Stalkers from the flank. Zealots, they come in as well. They can dive them forward. Not the worst engagement, but it's just a numbers game at this point. And Zoun, he breaks on through. It was a valiant effort here by NightMare to try to recover, especially with those blink DTs, but GG gets called, and Zoun will take the series 2-1. GG. Will take the series. A very intense, very chaotic back and forth here between both Zoun and NightMare. Again, it was a rough start in Game 2 for NightMare to embrace something like a proxy robo and for it to be shut down so hard. Likewise, here in Game 3, did have a bit of a... that was even here in Game 3, my apologies. Going for the proxy robo was shut down, so it was just a really rough start for NightMare and wasn't quite able to recover after that. GG. GG, well played. Likewise, Game 2, it was NightMare being too greedy. If you remember, he was cutting corners, he was rushing to a third, and Zoun basically went for a 2-base all-in. It was just a 2-base all-in out of Zoun. He was able to catch NightMare with his pants down in that second game as well. GG. GG, well played. Zoun will advance on into the quarterfinals, where he has his next opponent, where he has another PvP waiting for him. Oh boy. He has another Protoss vs. Protoss. Up next is going to be Hero versus Zoun. And I believe this is a rematch. The last time these two faced off was, I want to say, in the previous KSL, and Zoun did take it then and there. Again, we spoke earlier about how Zoun's best matchup is clearly PvP. It is the matchup that has changed the least over the years since, you know, he did leave from the military, so it does make sense. That's usually the case when it comes to these returning military players. Usually the mirror matchup is the matchup that they do thrive in the most early on, and it's the other matchups that they do have to work upon